In this video, we're going to learn how to show the two lines are parallel. There is a really important concept that connects us back to 2.5 when we learned about logic, when we talked about the if-then statement. If you recall, back then we had an if-then statement like this. If A happens, then B will happen. So an example of that would be if the temperature goes below freezing, then I will wear my snow jacket, a ski jacket. That's the A part is temperature goes below freezing, and B part, which is my conclusion, is that I will wear my ski jacket. So the B part, like I said, is what we call conclusion. And then the A part is what we call hypotheses. Hypotheses, that's one word. Okay? So a converse is fairly easy to understand. So a converse is a new statement. All you do is you switch the A and the B. So now you say if B happens, then A will happen. So the first one is our original statement, and then the second one is our new statement, is the converse. So, for example, if I say in my example, if I wear my ski jacket, then it must be below freezing. So that would be the converse of my original statement. And here's a new statement. If I give you a new statement that says, if it's summertime, I always go to the beach. Now, the converse of that is I switch the A and the B. If I go to the beach, then it's summertime. So that's really important to understand what converse is. Now, here are a few important converses. In fact, if you understood our last lesson in 3.4 about all of these theorems, corresponding angles theorem, alternate interior angles theorem, alternate exterior angles theorem, all of them says that if two lines are parallel and are cut by a transversal, these three pairs, corresponding angles, alternate interior and exterior angles, are congruent, right? And then finally, same side interior angle theorem states that same side interior angles are supplementary. So the converse, their converse is the opposite. Notice that now the hypothesis is if two lines are cut by a transversal in a way that corresponding angles are congruent, then the lines are parallel. Notice that this part, the new conclusion, was the original hypothesis, whereas the original conclusion became the new hypothesis. Remember in chapter 2 test, we had one of these, circle the hypotheses and underline the conclusion. So now we're just switching them, that's all. So now we say if the angles are congruent, then the lines are parallel. Or if the same side interior angles are supplementary, then the lines are parallel. So here's an example. The statement says, if two, so that's my A right there. If two segments are congruent, then there's my B. The two segments have the same length. That's my B right there. So all I need to do is to switch the A and B. So if B, which is my blue part, if two segments have the same length, then what will happen? Then A, two segments are congruent. That's a perfect example. So all you do is identify which is A, which is B. A comes after if, B comes after then in the first statement. Then in your new statement, switch A and B. That's all. Okay? Now the next step, decide whether the converse is true. Converse is not necessarily always true, right? So in the example that I said, if I wear a ski jacket, then it will be below 30 degrees. It might be true, but it's probably true 99% of the time, but maybe during on sale time in the fall when it's still above freezing, I went shopping and I was trying on a ski jacket, and maybe that was, not true. So, but in this case, if two segments have the same length, then two segments are congruent. And in this case, it is always true. I can't think of an exception to that or a counterexample to that. So this is always true. Make sure you finish these practices. And here is a string of our converses coming. Here it says, if the corresponding angles are congruent, then the lines are parallel. So look here, if 1 and 5 are congruent, then line R and line S would be parallel, like that. And let's look at example 2. Is enough information given to conclude that BD is parallel to ED? So here are my lines. These two lines, are they parallel? These are my two lines. So we need to figure out whether they are parallel. Now notice in here, in A, I have this angle to be 110, this angle to be 110. They are corresponding angles. Therefore, by corresponding angle converse, this one, yes, they are parallel. And over here, I have 60 here, but the corresponding angle, I don't have any information. I don't know if that's 60 or not. So no, I don't have enough information. Not enough info. Okay. And then for the third one, I have 100 degrees there. This one is, the corresponding angle is right here. But I don't have that in that pink. What I do know is that this part is 80. But green and this pink here adds up to 180, right? So this second pink part must be 100, because 100 plus 80 would give me this 180. And now the two pink angles are of the same measure. Therefore, the answer to this is yes, I have enough information to prove that these two lines are parallel. Alternate interior angles, same thing. If the alternate interior angles are congruent when two lines are cut by a transversal, in this example is 4 and 5. My apologies, that 4 is too far away. 4 and 5, right there. Then the lines are parallel. So they're parallel. R and S are parallel right there. And same thing to be said about alternate exterior angles converse. If the alternate exterior angles are congruent, then the lines are also parallel. So let's look at this. Does this diagram give enough information to conclude the two lines are parallel? And the two lines I want to see are right here. M and N is right there. Okay, bring that a little closer. And let's see, what do I have? I'm told that these two angles are congruent, and these two angles are alternate interior, so I can use the alternate interior converse to prove that these two lines are parallel. So like I said, it's A, I can use alternate interior angles converse. Second one, it says I don't have enough information to conclude that M is parallel to N. And why is that? Notice that it tells me that these two angles are congruent. Of course they're congruent because they're vertical angles. By vertical angles theorem, they must be congruent. But I'm not given corresponding angles. I'm not going given a pair of alternate interior, alternate exterior, or same side interior. Those are the four pairs of angles that helps me to determine if the two lines are parallel. Vertical angles don't help me with proving lines are parallel. So unfortunately, no is the correct answer. There's not enough information given. Same side interior angles converse. Remember, this is the only pair of angles that are supplementary. So, as it's stated here, look here. Oh, I like that. It gives me the exact word. It says that if two lines are cut by a transversal, so that the same side interior angles, in this case it's 3 and 5, are supplementary, meaning they add up to 180 degrees, then the two lines must be parallel. So in mathematics, it's so much easier. If measure of angle 3 and measure of angle 5 adds up to 180 degrees, then R must be parallel to S. A follow-up is to complete this statement. This lesson gives you 4 ways to show that two lines are what? I will give you a hint here. Add these two arrows there. Okay, that helps you answer that question. Let's see how we use same side interior angles converse. Again, it's a converse. Find the value of x. I don't know x, but I'm given 2x and I'm given 80. And I need to know whether these two lines are parallel or not. So I know that 2x, I know that J and K will be parallel if these two angles, 2x and 80, these are same side interior angles, if they are supplementary, right? Supplementary. I hope I spelled that right. To each other. So if I make them equal 180, the sum of the two angles equals 180, then I subtract 100 on both sides. I should have 2x equals 80. Then I divide both sides by 2. Oops, I can't do simple arithmetic. X equals 40. If x equals 40, double check here. If x equals 40, 2x must be equal 80. Therefore, these two angles are congruent with each other. I should use this sign of congruency. So they are congruent to each other. So in other words, I have found a value of x. X has to be 40 in order for these two lines to parallel to each other. If x doesn't equal 40, let's say if x is 20, then 2x gives me 40. These two lines will not parallel. It will look something like this. The bottom part is still like that. That would be my K, and that's my transversal, and this angle will be much smaller. So, oops, I really didn't do a good job there. And this is where a terrible drawer. There we go. Well, it's not good, but you got the sense that this is my transversal. This is line J, line K is here, and this angle are not the same congruent angle, are not adding up to, are not supplementary angles, and they don't add up to 180. Okay, so it's a lot of information. We're going to do a lot of practice in these units. You have to master these. These are really, really important. If you don't master these, you are going to have a hard time in the next couple of chapters, because we have upcoming 2-3 chapters are all about triangles. All right, guys, good luck. Have fun.